Thank you. I'm the Reverend Denise Cawley. My pronouns are she and hers, and I am the interim minister here. I come kind of like a house cleaner, like a big long-term house cleaner in between ministries, settled ministries. And so I help you get your house in order. For those of you who are guests today, this congregation had a minister for, 12-ish years. They'll have another one for some number of years after me. So I come in to help put things in order. And today we're going to talk about dogs. Last night around midnight, one of my mentors said to me, when I was in seminary, they said, don't ever preach about dogs, because then everyone will think of their favorite fluffy dog, and they won't listen to your sermon at all. I said, you might have mentioned this sooner. Think of your dog now. But that's okay. How many of you have ever had a dog that you tried to train? Okay, good. How many of you ever rudely learned that training the dog was not about training the dog? It was about training you. I hate that lesson. Guess what interim ministry is about? So as much as in interim ministry, people try to put things on me, right? It's my fault, it's my work, Reverend Denise should take care of that, right? Reverend Denise's fault, right? I came, it was yours when I got here, it's gonna be yours when I leave. It's your ministry, it's your church, let's figure this out. So, it's your dog. That's what today's about. So, thanks for joining me on the journey. Some point later in the service, I'm going to ask those of you who are not in one of these end seats to sit in an end seat. Don't go get a candle that's under the chair. I want you to sit in the chair that has an end candle. It won't be as cool if you go take the candle elsewhere. Play. Thanks.
Good morning. I'm Leslie Pete. I'm one of the worship associates today. My pronouns are she and hers.
And I'm Vlad Krastev. I am a worship associate in training today. Pronouns he, him.
The chalice lighting is taken from We Are a People of Beauty by Reverend Kimberly Tomzak Carlson. Recognizing the beauty around us and within us, in voice and spirit, we gather to light our chalice.
May we savor the beauty of our abundance and diversity, always cherishing one another and our earth. For this last line, I'm going to ask you to join me as we say together, May we remember to inhale the lushness of life, knowing that we are a people of beauty.
Would you please rise as willing and able to sing hymn number 1018 in the Teal hymnal?
Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go
Today, we will try the covenant honoring our religious naturalists among us. We unite to strengthen the bonds of kinship, to promote dignity, and to increase reverence for life's creating, sustaining, and transforming power through worship, study, and service.
Let us welcome Sean Unverzak for the time of all ages. Can everyone come up here who is either young or young at heart to sit with Rev Denise and enjoy this beautiful story, please?
Good morning. My name is Sean Unverzak. My pronouns are he, him. Give the kids a second. Come on, Julie, get on down there. You can do it. There you go. All right. Very good. The story for today is titled The Old Turtle and the Broken Truth by Douglas Wood with watercolors by John J. Muth. Once, in a beautiful faraway land that it was somehow not so far away, a land where every breeze was a language and every stone was a teacher and every lake was a mirror and every tree a ladder to the stars. In this far and lovely land there fell a truth. It streaked down from the stars, trailing a tail as long as the sky, but as it fell, it broke. One of the pieces blazed off through the night sky, and the other fell to earth in the beautiful land. In the morning, Crow found the fallen piece. It seemed to be a sort of stone, shiny and pleasing to the eye. "This is a lovely truth," said Crow. "I will keep it." But after he had it for a while, Crow said, "This truth does not feel quite right. A part of it is missing." He flew off and dropped it on the ground. Other creatures who like shiny things noticed the truth as well. Each picked it up and carried it a while, but they too found that it had rough edges and was difficult to carry, and its sparkle soon lost its appeal. "We do not need this broken truth," they said. "We will find a whole one." There is something missing in this truth, they thought, and they left it alone. After a while, the broken truth lay on the ground, forgotten. But then, a human found it. He was walking slowly, listening to breezes, gazing at beauties above and below all around him, and when he found the broken truth, on it was writing, and it said, "You are loved." The man thought it was the loveliest thing he had ever seen. He tucked it into a safe place and kept it. The truth sparkled just for him, and he whispered its message to him alone. He had never felt so proud or so happy. The man took the wonderful truth to his people, those who lived with him, who spoke as he spoke, who dressed as he dressed, and whose faces looked like his. And together they cherished their newfound truth and believed in it. It became their most important possession. After a while, the man and his people did not hear the language of breezes and stones anymore. They only heard their truth. They did not see the mirrored beauties in the lakes or the ladders to the stars, and for them, it was enough. And they called it the truth. The truth made the people feel good and proud and strong, and soon began to feel fear and even anger towards those who were not like themselves and who did not share their truth. The other beings and the other people of the lovely land seemed less and less important, and the language of the breezes was hardly even heard anymore. Time passed, and other people said, "We must have this great truth for ourselves, for with it comes happiness and power." Time passed. Battles were fought. The broken truth was won and lost and lost and won and won and lost over and over again. But such was its power and beauty that no one ever doubted it, and when they were without it, they felt a great emptiness. The stones and trees suffered, the breezes and waters suffered, and the animals and the earth, and most of all, the people suffered. Finally, the animals went to Old Turtle, ancient and wise as the mountains and the seas themselves. The truth the people quarrel over, we held it ourselves. It is broken and it doesn't work. Please tell the people. I am sorry, answered Old Turtle, but the people will not listen. They are not yet ready. And the suffering continued. Until one day, a little girl came to find Old Turtle. She had traveled very far, and when she had grown tired, she had ridden on the backs of animals or the wings of birds, and they had helped her find her way. Finally, they came to a great hill in the very center of the world. The little girl thought she had never seen so far or seen so much beauty. But when she saw Old Turtle, she could hardly speak. She simply looked with eyes full of wonder. "Why have you come so far to find me, little one?" asked Old Turtle. "I wanted to ask you a question," answered the little girl. "Where I live, the earth is sore and people are suffering. Battles are fought over and over again. People say it's because it has been this way and it'll never change. Can it change, Old Turtle?" Old Turtle spoke. "The world you describe is not the world that has always been, little one." Then Old Turtle told of how the people had found the broken truth and the suffering it had caused. "It is the lost portion of that broken truth the people need if the world is to be made whole again." "But where is the missing piece?" asked the little girl. "Can we put the truth back together again?" "Remember that there are truths all around us and within us. They twinkle in the night sky and bloom upon the earth. They fall upon us every day, silent as the snow and gentle as the rain. The people clutching their one truth forget that it is a part of all the small and lovely truths of life. They no longer see these truths, no longer hear them. But perhaps, little one, you can." The little girl thought once more of her long journey. She looked upon all the beauty that surrounded her, from the far hills to the flowers beneath her feet. She saw the movement of clouds and the soaring of birds and the dancing of light upon the green and living earth. She heard the whispering of a breeze, and gradually a feeling came over her, and she felt a secret smile somewhere and thought that perhaps she understood. The Old Turtle spoke again. "Remember this also, little one," she said. "The broken truth and life itself will be mended only when one person meets another, someone from a different place, or with a different face or different ways, and sees and hears herself. Only then will the people know that every person, every being is important, and the world was made for each of us." Finally, the little girl asked one more question. "Old Turtle, how will the people learn these things?" "By seeking out those small and simple truths all around them," said the Old Turtle. "By listening once more to the language of breezes, by learning the lessons of stones and animals and trees and stars. Even turtles," she chuckled, "and little girls." "Take this with you," said Old Turtle as she placed something in the little girl's hand. "I have saved it for a very, very long time for someone just like you." The little girl looked at what Old Turtle had given her. It was a kind of stone, a mysterious, beautiful stone. It was lovely to touch, and it made her feel good to hold it. "Thank you, Old Turtle," she said, and hugged her friend's great leathery neck, and started home. Once more she traveled back. Crow led the way, and again, when the little girl grew tired, all her animal friends helped, and she sometimes touched the old stone Turtle had given her. And it took a long time, yet almost no time at all, and she was home. The people did not recognize her, and when she spoke, they did not understand. She told them of her journey. She spoke of a world made of small and gentle truths, and of all the peoples being one people. She explained about the broken truth and the need to make it whole, but the people did not believe her, and she could not make them understand. Finally, Crow, seeing all that had happened, flew to a high place above the village where the great truth was kept, in a place where all could see it. And he cawed in his loudest voice, and suddenly the little girl knew what to do. She climbed to the high place and took Old Turtle's stone from her pocket and carefully added it to the missing piece of the old broken one. The fit was perfect. The people looked and looked and looked. Some frowned and some smiled, some even laughed, and some cried, and they began to understand. Time passed, and the trees climbed like ladders to the stars, the water shone like mirrors, and the people saw their beauty. A breeze stirred, and they heard its music, and slowly, as the people met other people, different from themselves, they began to see themselves. And far away on a hill, in the very center of the world, Old Turtle smiled.
I think Old Turtle was such a beautiful prayer that we should go to the reading next. The anthem. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. We should go to the anthem next.
The readings today are excerpts from the book Neuroplasticity: How the Brain Changes with Learning by Ross Cunnington. You cannot learn something without storing it in some form of memory for future use. From neuroscience, we know that memories are encoded by physical changes in the brain. In other words, your brain changes physically whenever you learn anything, and your brain continues to be molded by experience and learning throughout your life. Your brain is never fixed, but continues to change with learning and experience throughout your life. Let us start with a simple logical argument to dispel myths and show that logically, of course, your brain is changing and learning. Learning and memory are necessarily closely linked. You cannot learn something without storing it in some form of memory for use in the future, either for recall as new knowledge or improvement in skills. From neuroscience, we know that memories are encoded by physical changes in the brain, although we still debate exactly what it is that changes and how. Your brain therefore changes physically whenever anything is learned, and so your experiences learning throughout all of life change and mold your brain.
There is a common brain myth of popular perception that the brain becomes fully developed sometime in early childhood, implying that nothing further changes, and that further changes in the brain with development in childhood and adolescence are somehow biologically determined, leading to a fully developed state at adulthood. In reality, the way your brain develops is determined both by your genetics and by your learning and experiences. Biological does not mean predetermined. Your brain is shaped by your experiences and is never fixed but continues to change along with learning across the lifespan. Some immediate implications to come from these basic principles are: the brain always has the capacity to learn and is not predetermined by biology. The brain continues to change constantly with learning and experience throughout all of life and never becomes fixed and unchanging. Therefore, one's smartness is as much about brain connectivity from learning, not just about biology. It is recommended that deliberate learning involves making and strengthening connections between associated concepts rather than the rote learning of disconnected facts.
Something that always surprises me at congregations is if I talk about anything about improving, inevitably there will be someone in the congregation that thinks that must mean there's something wrong with them or the congregation. And I must be personally wired differently because I think that I'm always on this quest to constantly be improving and looking for ways to just grow. So I'd like to have a UU absolution right now. There's nothing wrong. You're all loved, and this place is great. And we belong to a faith that constantly encourages us to grow and change and improve. Those two things can be true at the same time. So I'd like you to, she loves us. Okay, I love you. You're good. I've had some weird kind of technology bug this weekend, and every technology I touch is like going wrong. So my preferred iPad is not receiving any of my data, and I have my computer up here. I must have known because I carried them both in. When I got here, somebody else was parked in my parking spot, and someone else was parked in Allison's parking spot. She says her sign is like buried under a bunch of debris out there, and Mr. Urban was out there saying, "Someone thinks they're you today." Maybe they know why my technology's not working. And then I was so startled that I dropped my water bottle and that broke, so it's just been one of those days. So, some jokes. What do dogs do after finishing training classes? They get their masters. What did the dog say to the tree? I couldn't hear that. Bark. What does the dog get when they finish obedience school? Their pedigree. What do you call a wild dog that meditates? And a werewolf. Why aren't corgi jokes funny? They're all really short. When my now partner, but at the time the person I was auditioning to play a significant role in my life, Reverend Matt, came to visit me one summer. He was taking a self-funded sabbatical in beautiful Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I have 2 dogs, and they are not old and they are not young. My dog Henry, the larger of the 2, has never been great about coming in. We have taken him to dog training. I saved a bunch of money to try to hire private dog trainers. I have worked for dozens of hours with long leads and treats. I have been suckered into buying more and more expensive dog treats to try to get that dog to come. I was Aiden when he was much younger. Feel free to tell me all the dog jokes. Like, you know what dog spelled backwards is? God. Reverend Matt was expecting my dogs to be obedient. I don't have dogs ready for any TV competition show. My small dog is deaf and listens to hand signals, and he's actually more responsive than the one who can hear. I reminded Reverend Matt, you often can't teach old dogs to listen. What they learn in the first year or so is usually about the sum of what they're going to obey. I tried to explain how Henry, the larger one, the bearded collie, has never been good at coming or listening. It's just not his thing. You know, he's supposed to be a show dog, but he's more of a roll in the mud and jump 7 feet straight in the air and hang 10 off the fence kind of urban farm dog. You know, he wants to stay outside, all day. So I give Matt the history of this dog breed, how it relates to training, and I go over all the ways myself and my kid and my ex-wife had worked with Henry. And now that I'm single, my son and I have better luck than my ex-wife did, but still, he isn't going to be show dog worthy. He is far more likely to come in with a cucumber vines wrapped around his beard than any blue ribbon. Reverend Matt was undeterred. Delighted to give it another chance, I explain Henry is a bearded collie, a very smart Scottish sheepdog. I offer some breed basics and tips about training this kind of dog, and I let Matt have at it. You go ahead, honey. And at first, he was quite unsuccessful, and I was quite amused watching him fail. Now, Reverend Matt loves the long game. That man can play the long game for years if he needs to, and I love this about Reverend Matt. That man starts watching videos. He realizes Henry will not be learning in the manner of his former dogs like golden retrievers. Ha 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 ha. And Mutz learned, yes, Henry is a whole different kind of dog. I thought Matt would tire of this game. But he did not. I thought Henry would continue to ignore Reverend Matt. And Matt continued to follow Henry around the yard. One day, Henry came in. And over time, Reverend Matt taught Henry to come when he was called. In congregations, there are some common themes that every congregation is positive, is totally unique to them. It's only happening at their church. Some of you know that I now am a trainer, so that training that Reverend Patrice is coming to do here, I go other places to do because Reverend Patrice asked me, and I think Reverend Patrice walks on water. So every congregation says the following things, including y'all. There are not enough kids. Where did they all go? There are not enough young families. We need more young people. We need more diversity. We are worried that the congregation is shrinking. We need more money. There are not enough donations. We gain people each year, but we lose people each year. I've noticed that often the ideas to correct these problems are fixated to some degree or another on going back to things we used to do. Going back, perhaps, to teaching RE the way we used to. Going back to doing fundraisers the way we used to. Declare that we are welcoming. I think we're welcoming, they'll say. Some insist if they would just come, it would all be fine. And I know you're worried. It's real. And yet, the world is not the same as it was a decade or even just 5 years ago. More of our parents have to work more jobs to survive. The cost of housing has skyrocketed. Less people are available to volunteer in religious exploration program or on boards or on committees. Youth programs did not bridge folks to adult membership like we dreamed they would, because sadly, we know no other faith is better than ours at taking those 18 and older and having them leave our faith than us. We have statistically proven that. We are in a time of big change. The way we had been doing things is not working, and that's why we're trying new things. That's why I suggest so many new things, right? It's painful, because we're also mourning those things that we really liked. That's why we're going somewhere different for a youth trip. That's why we're doing RE differently. That's why we're trying new things on the board. That's why we're trying new things. It's hard. COVID has vastly changed not only what parenting looks like, but forever changed how lonely and isolated people of every age feel. Most of us stay home more than ever before, needing far more encouragement to entice us out of our PJs and into the arms of real hugs and live conversation. None of these problems are unique. You are not alone. However, the solutions do not involve going backwards. We often wonder if we are so very welcoming, why are the folks who we dream of being here not here already? Pause a minute and really think, why do you think all of the people we would say are the they, why are they, whoever the they are, not here? Is it really because they don't know we are here? Couldn't they have Googled our congregations already? Is it because they went to our website and found nothing to interest them? Maybe because we didn't update it? Is it because we told them we had all the answers and we weren't interested in what their ideas were? Is it because we asked them for a whole lot of help the moment they walked in the door and we pounced on them, right? Before nourishing them first? Did we take time to get to know them? Recently, someone said to me, I don't know how to get to know younger people. I don't know what they're into. I said, did you ask? I know it sounds really silly, but just ask, hey, what are you into? What do you like to do? We just got out of practice with COVID. Don't feel foolish. We just got out of practice. We just got to try again. It's okay. We're clumsy. We're just trying again. Did we offer them readings and music and art and programs that felt and sounded like them and were written by authors who shared things in common with them? Did we ask what they were seeking? Did we offer to foster their spiritual hunger? Did you give them time and space to learn and acclimate? Now, I'm the interim, so sometimes I reveal secrets. The settled minister doesn't reveal as many secrets as me. Secrets could change this picture for our congregation. You would have to dare to participate and dare to learn and dare to try them, and we would have to dare to do church different. Looks to see if Mike Gilly looks up at that. Are you up for that? Remember Mike Gilly presented this summer on going to the GA session on disrupting church. There's a whole Disrupting Church blog now by the Community Church of New York. You can go check it out in a podcast. Okay, now when I was a kid, I loved secret languages, right? I can write backwards. Little unknown secret about me, right? I was always looking for formulas. Write backwards, maybe use lemon juice to write and find some invisible ink that would only show maybe with a black light, but my mother wouldn't buy me a black light because that was expensive. I wanted everything in those ads that were on the backs of cereal boxes or in comic books that offered these magical items that would work and be real, these decoders. Who did that? Come on, I can't be the only one, right? You wanted the decoder to be real, right? So bad. Or the 3D glasses would actually like magically reveal an entire new world, right? There would be like huge other pictures or something, right? Couldn't it say, use this tool and all your homework will be done automatically and correctly for you? I would sometimes send away 50 cents, and by the time you added the service fee and the postage, it was like $7.95. What was that? And you'd get a secret code only to be heartbroken that the code was like a colored piece of flimsy plastic serving as a commercial ad for some brand that the toy company wanted me to buy. It was so disappointing, right? In our reading today on neuroplasticity, we learned that not only do we continue to have brains that grow every day of our lives, but the more we use our brains can learn. That's why we're all doing Wordle and connections in the New York Times, and we're playing these brain games, right? And we are racking our brains to do Sudoku. Do you really like it? Okay, they like it. Well, guess what? In doing research for this sermon, I was reading that one of the most effective things we can do for our brain is not those puzzles. To prevent them from atrophying as we age, it's talking with other people and meeting new people. Ah! The more we take in new kinds of information and have conversations with new people, the better off we are. So then there's this peculiar thing about UUs I just can't quite figure out. We love to talk about neuroplasticity. I can be doing a presentation on this and I'll hear y'all in the back going, neuroplasticity, neuroplasticity. Like, I have the answer, I have the answer, I have it, right? You're so excited, right? We adore groups that allow us to prove facts to one another. When I went to see the secret men's group that y'all pretend doesn't exist and isn't real, right? You were like, now we meet on our computers so we can all pull up the information and we can pull facts up and we can win, right? It's really great, right? We love learning. Most of our congregations have not one, but two, but sometimes three book groups. We love learning, right? And yet, when it comes to the really complex side of justice issues where we need to go deeper on race or gender or class or sexuality and all the myriad of issues that go with those, I often get responses like, well, you know, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And I'm like, huh. Or someone will say, well, you know, I'm old, so I'm done. What I got is what I got. Where I'm at is where I'm at. My dog Henry learned how to come in. Do you know how much education people had that went into trying to get that dog to come in? There's probably a couple $100,000 in the education of the people who tried to teach that dog to come in. Brain science tells us that our brains continue to grow and change until the day we die, so you are not done, y'all. You are not where you're at. You indeed can change, and you can learn to come in when you are called. And I am calling you now to go deeper, because you'll have better friendships. You'll get to work in small groups and join those programs you have been invited to. And I'm inviting you again. You want a sign from God? This is it, but we're calling it dog. Now, in offering programs that teach about transgender awareness or deepening, there's a great program called Transforming Hearts. It's done with intersectional justice. That means it looks at perspectives with race and environmental justice and gender and sexuality and class. There are great anti-racism programs like Living the Pledge and Beloved Conversations and Jubilee Training and Eighth Principle Learning Group. And I just want to say I've been there too. And sometimes I am. I'm like, oh God, we're doing it again. Oh God, it's another conference, we're doing it again. And then I go, right? Because I do this all the time, right? As a UU minister. And then I learn something else, and I meet someone else, and I grow a deeper friendship, and I get something, and I have a whole new world that opens up. And I realize those secret decoder pens, those overlays, they're secret worlds you don't even know exist. You think you know because you're watching, you watch like PBS NewsHour, right? And you listen to NPR, but that ain't it. They all offer opportunities to deepen your friendships and sidestep that isolation, giving you new small groups of friends and connecting with more UUs that aren't even just in this congregation. And sometimes folks tell me these programs take too long, or they're too intense, or our church isn't ready, or our group isn't ready, or not enough people will sign up, or I did one of those programs once, because once makes you done. We did it at work. My kid is trans. I adopted a child of color. My grandchild is from another country. Those responses are old tricks. They are not old dogs. I mentioned that I loved secret magic messages, and some church systems people are anxious to learn more, and some of those folks come from marginalized identities that know from hard experience that the world and language we use to describe it is always changing. I was with Reverend Matt's daughter and her girlfriend last weekend, and I was like, say, what did they just say? Dang it, I gotta go learn something else. I'm not up on that one. I gotta go learn that one now too, right? I was teaching a seminar yesterday, and it was in the Bay Area. I was teaching on Zoom. And I said to them, do you find that because you're in the Bay Area that everyone, kind of assumes you know everything because you're in the Bay Area? And someone who was a person of color who identified as non-binary said, well, some folks assume that they know everything already because they went to a protest in 1962 and therefore they established themselves as independent thinkers then and they know it all already. The secret path to new friends involves sitting on the ends of the rows in these aisles, my friends, and picking up the lights that are on the floor. It involves expanding brains and new experiences in all those classes and workshops and books and podcasts. And sometimes they are intense and uncomfortable. And guess what? You will not die. You will not die. In fact, you might become like my dog Henry, who doesn't stand out in the rain anymore and comes in when called. We can all still learn. And if you find out that you now have one of those secret decoders that opens a secret path, I want to be the first person to know, because that path might be lit with new friends and new experiences and even joy. And it might be rough sometimes, but you are not alone. We UUs are going on the road to beloved community. So please join us on the path. I will make sure we leave candles out for you. We will light the path for each other, and you are welcome to join us anytime. There's always room on the road to beloved community. And be like all of us young, adorable puppies. It's time we learned some new tricks.
Okay, that's a hard act to follow. It's time for the offertory. We give to support our church and our community. Giving is a way to participate in love and blessings. Generosity opens us up to more love. It is a way to sow, to invest in the mission, and to reap the blessings that come. The morning offering will now be gratefully received.
now stand if you are willing and able. If you're going to sit, sit with gusto. And we're going to sing number 1028, The Fire of Commitment. From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands, hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise has fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. Thank you. You may be seated.
If I would have known we had Gershwin, man. I mean, I guess I knew, but hearing it is so different. Changes abound around us, within us, between us, in our communities, our neighborhoods, and our beloved faith communities. Changes abound. May we each find that balance point as we need it to move through our ever-changing world. The balance between old and the new, between the known and the unknown, between the familiar and perhaps the bold and risky possibilities that may be there waiting. I hope you take up those invitations that are offered. Amen.